Welcome back. More than 2 weeks after a wind turbine failed in Massachusetts, the company that built the turbine is now blaming a factory in Canada, citing a, quote, manufacturing deviation. Debris from the turbine blade has been washing up on the Nantucket shore, prompting beach closures. Residents are angry. This turbine came from the Vineyard Project, the first large-scale offshore wind farm in the country. Now, last week, the town of Nantucket held a meeting providing updates on the current status of the blade, the plans for dismantling, and, of course, cleanup efforts, as well as findings from the initial environmental impact. Now a federal investigation is underway. Here for some more insight is Megan Lapp, Fisheries Liaison for Seafreeze Limited. Megan, good to have you on Morning on Merit today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So a legal battle was underway throughout last year, attempting to block the Vineyard Wind Project. Now, after this, what legal action is being taken?
Well, my company is the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit against the Vineyard Wind Project because of impacts to commercial fisheries and the environment. And I think that really what just happened a couple weeks ago serves to emphasize that environmental impact. As you mentioned, Nantucket closed their beaches, but what was interesting was the blade broke on a Saturday night and Vineyard Wind did not inform the town of Nantucket until Monday at 5 p.m. So during that time, there were chunks of, massive chunks of fiberglass in the water, in the surf. Lifeguards were starting to pull them out of the water. People could have gotten very hurt, even killed if you get hit by a giant chunk of fiberglass in the breakers. And even now, there are chunks all over the place. They're south of Block Island. They're in Block Island Sound. They're floating, 40 miles away from the project, east of Cape Cod. There was a 40-foot piece floating around south of Block Island the other day. These are huge dangers to mariners, hazards, and obviously it's environmental damage. When Nantucket reopened the beaches, they told people you can swim now, but if you go to the beach, wear shoes and also don't let pets come because of the fiberglass that could get in your feet. So the town of Nantucket now is considering legal action. I don't know what other action may be taken, but like I said, my company has been fighting this project for a few years now, and this really puts the exclamation point at the end of that.
Yeah, let's further discuss the environmental impact that the turbine is having. I mean, Nantucket, known for its beaches. The surf is very rough there, so understandable how the concern would be that people could get injured from the debris. And now, as you mentioned, pets, tourism, big, fishing, whatnot. I've gone fishing in Nantucket. What about the impact on the marine life? What else are you seeing?
Well, there's quite a bit of impact, not just from the blade breaking, but also from low frequency noise that emits from the spinning turbines, the pile driving, the jet plowing and cable laying, the complete conversion of the habitat. It's a massive environmental impact over a massive footprint. I think people don't understand really how high these are. They're over 850 feet high. Each blade is longer than a football field. So when you have a project of that size, the environmental impacts are tremendous. And I think, also people have to start thinking this blade snapped not even in a hurricane. When there's a hurricane coming up the coast, what do you think that is going to do? Blades falling off of wind turbines is a fairly common occurrence. There was a report done in 2014 that said out of 700,000 blades, 3,800 of them fail per year. So if you put that into statistical terms for off of Nantucket, off of Rhode Island and Massachusetts, this is going to be a fairly frequent occurrence. And I think people really have to stop and think, is this what we want? Is this what we want on a regular basis? Particularly, we just saw a clip earlier there of hurricane season coming up. It's coming.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing the size and scope of how large they are. You don't quite get that perspective when you see it in footage, but that brings it home a little bit more. Any idea, you said wind wasn't a factor. Any idea what might have caused this one to literally fall apart? Are you hearing anything yet?
The reports I've seen basically said that there wasn't enough glue. There wasn't enough bonding. And interestingly enough, all of these blades were supposedly made in Canada. Some were made in France, I believe. But there's a company called AEP, which is a power company. and they have a wind farm, I believe, in Oklahoma. They are currently suing GE Vernova, who made these blades, the same company, I believe the same facility, because they have a wind project on land that was like the largest in the country that went into service a couple years ago, and the blades are delaminating. They say that they have blade liberation events, and that all of the blades are prone to delamination. That sounds a lot like what is happening here with not
Mhm.
enough bonding, not enough glue. So if that's the case, um, we could have some real problems coming up.
Yeah, interesting story. Megan, keep us posted on your work with the project there. Megan Lapp, we appreciate you being on Morning on Merit today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime.